Hi, I'm Shauna. This is Shauna's World. Welcome back to my channel where I make videos about living intentionally. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Shauna's World. So today's video is just going to be a Q&A because I hit 500 subscribers and I thought I'd do a Q&A to celebrate. I know it's a small milestone for a lot of people, but you've got to start somewhere. I'm loving making videos and it's lovely to see the slow and steady growth of my channel, and really grateful for everyone who watches and engages with my content. So I opened up for questions on Instagram and on here, and I had a few questions, so let's get into it. So the first question is, how do breathwork and intentional living interact in your life? I found this a really interesting question because it wasn't something I've ever really reflected on, but they both are really in symbiosis with each other. So I would say that breathwork has really helped me to live a more intentional life because it gives me more clarity and more kind of feeling at home in my body and feeling safe in my body by doing regular breathwork, and that makes me more likely to do the things that are important to me and to kind of live an authentic life. I would also say my focus on living intentionally has helped me to cultivate a better breathwork practice, because when I first got into breathwork, I really thought I needed to throw myself into it completely and I needed to be doing certain things every day. But since I started really bringing some intentionality to my practice, every day I make time and space, but I think, what do I need from my practice? And I'm not doing conscious connected breathing every day. I used to do a few minutes every day before I went to bed, and actually I realized that's not what I need. But every day I do ask myself, what does my nervous system need today? And I do a bit of that. And sometimes it's literally only a couple of minutes silence, but it's just kind of making the time every single day to do something. And then another question on that, and this was from the same person who asked the first one: how do you maintain intentional living and not get distracted by consumerism and overconsumption? Okay, so this has not been an easy process for me. I've never been massively, well, I probably have been massively over consuming by my own standards, maybe not compared to what a lot of people do, but I definitely was very unintentional about my spending and consuming for a long time, and it was almost like a compulsion. If I wanted something, I felt I had to have it, and I felt like it was going to add value to my life, even if it really wasn't, even if it was going to be a kind of momentary hit that made me feel good when I bought it, but actually just lies there forgotten. So I think the thing that's really governed the change is understanding what my values are, and I really recommend for everyone to work out what their values are, because it's a lot of, we all have them, but we don't necessarily think about what they are. And for me, freedom is a huge thing. And I think I bring that into my life by trying to find a good balance between time and money, and that equals freedom for me. Because if I didn't work, yes, I'd have more time freedom, but I wouldn't have the money to do things I wanted. If I worked more or got paid more or worked some other job, worked differently, yes, I might earn a different amount of money, a lot more money, whatever, but I wouldn't necessarily have the freedom to do the things I want to do and live life in the way I do. And that's kind of informed a lot of the decisions I've made around spending. So when I took my sabbatical, I had to cut a lot of basic spending on things like eating out or things I wanted to buy. I cut that out so I could move towards the bigger goal of taking some time out of work and traveling and hiking and doing all the things that are really important to me. So above all, I tried to hold on to the bigger vision and the bigger picture. And yeah, that's my kind of North Star when it comes to the decisions I'm making of how to live my life. And I definitely still make poor decisions sometimes, or do things that I wouldn't say aren't intentional, but I think something might be a good purchase and actually it's not. So I really stop and think about everything before I buy it, because I don't want to add to that overconsumption. But at the moment I want some new running poles and a head torch, and I know I need these for the races I'm doing, but I'm really holding back until I'm sure that what I want to buy is an intentional spend, it's going to add value to my life, it's a good decision, and that's not necessarily the cheapest thing, not necessarily the most expensive or best quality thing. It's finding the right balance that feels like a good fit for my life and my finances and my long-term vision. Okay, the next question is, how do you find the confidence to do so many things alone and independently? So a lot of that I I think I talked about it in a Q&A about through hiking before, around hiking independently, and I get asked this a lot about traveling solo, and it's a hard one to answer because for a lot of people, going solo traveling or solo hiking or even going to eat out alone, for example, can be a big thing. But just for me, it never really has been, because I definitely struggled socially growing up. And that meant I just had to do things on my own because I didn't necessarily want to do the same things other people wanted to do. And it just got me used to just doing things on my own and not. I did sometimes feel self-conscious about it at the beginning, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do. And that's been even more important as I've gotten older and people have different priorities in their life and people wanting to do different things. There aren't always people who want to do the same things I do. And actually, I really enjoy having a lot of time to myself. I enjoy being with other people. I enjoy being with my friends and with my partner, with my family, but I really like spending time alone. So I'm probably not the best person to answer that question because it's not like I overcame a big thing. But I would say if for you it is a hard thing to do things on your own and it's something you want to do more of, just start small things like going for walks or something local, or going for coffee on your own, going for dinner on your own, little things that kind of stretch your comfort zone until you feel more ready to do bigger things. I would also say I have friends who don't necessarily like to do things alone and know they want to do things with their partner or their friends, and obviously that's not always an option. But if that is something that's important to you, that's okay. There's nothing superior about solo travel or solo adventuring or any of that. I love it, but if that's not what you love and if that's not what makes you come alive, that's fine. Go with your partner, go with your friends. It's no less valid as a thing to do just because you're with someone else. Okay, so the next question is, how are you celebrating 500 subscribers on YouTube? I love that this got asked because I knew I was going to celebrate it by doing this Q&A, but I love the idea of doing something for myself to celebrate as well. So I don't really have an answer for that at this point, but I would like to, I'm doing this video and I like doing Q&As. It's fun to answer them, but I probably wouldn't have done it otherwise. So this is my celebration, but I might do a little something for myself, go out for a meal, or that feels a bit lame to celebrate myself in that way. And I think I really need to ask myself why, because we should celebrate ourselves. And I champion other people celebrating themselves, but I'm like, oh, it's only 500. But 500 people coming to my channel, listening to what I have to say. I'm really, really honoured that people watch my channel. So thank you. And sorry if I got a bit like, oh. Okay, next question. Do you have any bucket list or dream races or runs? Yes. Not really loads of specific ones, but I would like to do a lot of traveling to races and kind of destination races and holidays. I'm really trying to reduce my flying and cut out unnecessary flying, so I don't think I'm going to do any races where I need to fly, but I have my eye on one. If all goes to plan this year with my races, I'd really like to do the Mozart 100, which is 105 kilometers in Austria. That would be in 2025, and I'm really, really hoping I can get through the races this year and make that happen. I can get there on the train, which is great. Outside of that, I don't have any massive kind of this is my goal race, but I do want to travel and do more races. I do quite want to do the Marathon des Sables one day in Morocco, and I could reach there overland. It's a really hard race over multiple days across the desert. It's also, it's lots of people do it. And I don't know if it is the race I want to do. I love desert. I really love desert. So I wouldn't mind doing a desert race. And that's quite a easy to get to place without a plane. So I would love to do that. And I'd also like to do a race at the UTMB one day. That would be a dream. It's kind of the ultimate trail race, but maybe the 100K. We'll see how things go. It's early days. I am not by any means a great runner yet, but there's still time. And the next question is, do you have any big life regrets? Well, I would say there are a lot of poor decisions I've made in my life, and I like to stick with the opinion that none of them, that you shouldn't regret the decisions you've made because they're all learnings and things wouldn't turn out now how they were if you'd made a different decision. You have to kind of go through the motions and learn from it, and it's all a blessing and it's all led me to where I am now. But the one thing that I do kind of regret, well, I wouldn't say regret, because I think when I was 18 making decisions about what I wanted to do with my life, I wanted to pursue acting as a career, and my family really didn't want me to and said it was a poor decision and worried too much about being in poverty and not getting work. And I followed that and went to university and then got a job, and then acting kind of fell by the wayside. And I don't think that trying to become an actor would have been the right decision for me. I don't think I would have probably been successful or thrived in it, but I wish I'd tried. And I think, when you're young, you can make mistakes and you can change careers and you don't have to figure it out right away. And then you fall into other things and it works out. And I did end up leaving university and being in a basically minimum wage job for a while. And it was one charity that did good, but it was a tough life. And I just wish I'd pursued acting instead. And it wasn't even that I didn't, it was that I followed what someone else wanted for my life rather than pursuing what I wanted for my life. And even though I don't think it would have been a great life decision, it would have been my not great life decision. And I would have felt like I was living life on my own terms. So I've always had quite a lot of pain and regret about following a path that didn't feel authentic to me, even though the authentic to me path probably wouldn't have been the right one. It would have been my one, and I could have pivoted, and I still could. I'm 36 now. Going to drama school is probably not the best thing to do with my time, but I could do it when I retire. So it's not the end of the world, but I have quite a lot of pain around that. Okay, the next question is, what would you say are your biggest flaws? Thanks for asking that question. I have a lot, but the biggest ones I would say are I'm very disorganised and just generally discombobulated and bad executive functioning and struggle to keep on top of things and manage what's going on. And then also I can be pretty impulsive, which I've always kind of just got on with okay. It's never completely messed me up, but things like impulse buying my boat with money I couldn't really afford, just a lot of poor decisions that happen because I think it's a really good idea at the time, and it generally works out. But I really need to work at taking a step back and being more measured. Also I don't like making phone calls. That's a big flaw. I mean, I do it at work because I have to, but it's painful every time, and in real life outside of work I avoid it at all costs. I'll always take an email or a video call is better. Cannot stand phone calls. Is that a flaw or is that just a personality trait? Okay, final question today is, are there any big adventures on the horizons? Well, ever since I did the Israel National Trail, I feel like I want to do another really big adventure, but that's just not on the cards at the moment. But when it is, I think the one I want to do is hiking, or maybe running, but probably hiking, the Transcaucasian Trail, which is a trail that goes across Georgia and Armenia. It's not finished being built yet, but it's still, there's a route that's considered through hiking it, and a lot of it is done. I think it's kind of nearly there, and I'm really interested in that region. The scenery looks so beautiful, and it's another one that looks not too busy, and that, I'll get a lot of time to myself when hiking, and it's not kind of that social element of a trail, which I think I wouldn't enjoy very much. But that is probably a long way into the future, whenever I can afford to take a lot of time out of work again, because it's about, I think it take about 6 months to hike, and I've learned from my last through hike that I am a slow hiker and I like to have rest days quite a lot, which I'm okay with, but it just adds to the amount of time. But on a much smaller scale, this year I am hoping, if I can work it out with my annual leave with work, to do the Two Moors Way, which is about just over 100-mile hiking path that goes across Dartmoor and Exmoor in Devon, where I live, and I'm really hoping I can do that. Only take about a week probably. I think I probably need to work on my navigation a little bit more. It's fine, but I think there's some quite hairy bits on Dartmoor, so I need to practice that as much as I can, and sort out all my camping equipment, because my tent still has a hole in it from where a jackal chewed through it on my last hike, which is a very exciting story, but really messed up a 300-pound tent. So gonna work on that. But that's all of the questions I had for this Q&A. So thank you to everyone who asked a question. If you did not and have any questions, please put it in the comments below and I'll answer it in a future video. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.